I'm Jim Maurice, and throughout the election season here, we've been doing a series of candidate forums with our local races, from county races to legislative races and also city races. And today we're focusing on St. Cloud City Council for Ward 2, which is basically the southeast side of St. Cloud, I would say. And the two candidates who are running for that spot are here with us. We have the incumbent, Steve Laraway. Steve, good afternoon.
Great to be here, Jim.
Thanks for coming in. And then your challenger, we have Liz Baklaich here as well. Liz, good afternoon to you as well.
Hi, thanks for having us in today.
I talked to both of you in the primary season. Of course, that was summertime. It was sunny. It was nice. Here we are in the fall already. I'm sure it's gone fast probably for both of you as you've been out door knocking and campaigning. So Liz, let's start with you. Talk a little bit about, just tell our audience, or for those folks who aren't familiar with you, who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Liz Baklaich, and I am running for St. Cloud City Council in Ward 2. Right now, I currently am employed as a CPR instructor. I work for 3 different companies, and I love my job because I get to teach people how to help save other people. And it's an amazing position to be in, and it's not a hard skill to learn. If you don't know how to do it, please go learn how to do that. I have multiple organizations that I volunteer for. It's not something that I usually bring forward to the front. I think that that's one of those things that you do more privately. I believe in following the biblical guidelines on that and in just kind of keeping it closer to the chest while you help out. There is one organization that I was working with today, though, that I know right now they're doing a drive, and that's Stand Down. If you're military, please go over to the Armory today. They're actually fundraising for buying their new building. And it's a great organization. It's veterans helping veterans. And I'm running for St. Cloud City Council in Ward 2 because I think our city needs a change. We've definitely seen some shifts already going on in the town, and I don't like the direction that we're headed with a couple things. And I believe in if you don't like the way something's going, that you step up and you work to change it, and you put your money where your mouth is, and you back it up with your actions.
Okay, so and we'll talk a little bit more about that probably as the hour goes on.
Sounds good.
Steve, talk a little bit about you. You are the incumbent. You won the last election 2 years ago, unopposed in that race. Talk a little bit about who you are.
Sure. My name's Steve Laraway. I've been married for 41 years. I've lived at the same house in the 2nd Ward for 28. We raised 4 children in that house. I'm running because I believe in stewardship, and that can be defined as giving back to the community. St. Cloud has been really good to my family and to me and to my spouse. It's just a great place, and I want to give back. I'm very active in the community. I'm involved in healthcare, youth, the faith community, business, and economic development. My qualifications are, as far as credentials, I'm an attorney, CPA. I'm a certified financial planner and a chartered financial consultant, so I know my way around the legal side of things and the numbers. I've run and grown several businesses here in St. Cloud, and maybe most important, I'm a good listener. I have an abundance of common sense, and I have the ability to get along with people.
Okay. So, Liz, back to your statement you just made about you feel like St. Cloud's not going in the right direction and you want to make a change. What do you mean by that?
Well, if you drive around town and you look at all the empty storefronts, that doesn't look like a good direction to me. I see businesses closing and leaving, and I see people leaving. Our population's actually down 1% right now when we've been bringing in new residents. And again, the storefronts, the empty storefronts. And I've seen that our government here has actually contributed to that. Some of the regulations that are going on. And as much as some people that are currently on city council will tell you that they listen, I've gone and I've tried to have some of these issues addressed and speak, and I have not received replies unless I've had to continue to push and push and push. I actually finally did receive one response to an issue, but it took over 2 months before I got that. And it was because I kept coming back and saying, I'm not going to let this one go. It needs to be it needs to be replied to.
I would like to talk a little bit about economic development, especially in your ward. Ward
Yes.
2 is the east side. It's where I live, and of course, it's where I work right now. So it's important to me. It's important to me because it is part of my community. So let's talk about East St. Germain Street. There's not a lot left on East St. Germain Street. Steve.
Absolutely, Jim, and I realize that. And we actually have a couple of things that are kind of in the works that I can't really disclose, but we're close to a couple of things. I think in the next year you'll see some activity in that area. Many of the storefronts that are open and closed, we're in a time where basically retail is really struggling because of Amazon primarily. So we've seen a number of retail stores close because of that. However, you take, for instance, Crossroads, the Sears Center, that's been divided into 4 separate businesses, and they're not ready to announce who they are either, but it's basically rented. So we're seeing kind of a transition or a migration over to different types of services in that in St. Cloud. But you look at some of the buildings that have grown too, or some of the businesses that have grown. Beaver Island added a big addition. We've added the YMCA, the parking lot. Articat had a big addition. We're currently grooming a number of sites that are focus sites in St. Cloud. One on Cooper Avenue, a couple of the parking lot areas in St. Cloud. So we're moving, but it doesn't move as fast as some people would like.
Mm-hmm. Liz, how about that? How much of it is just national retailers closing, like a Herberger's, Sears? I mean, that's really. Do you feel like St. Cloud could have played a role in that, or is that out of St. Cloud's hands when you're talking about national chains like that?
National chains is a slightly different situation, but let's go back to East St. Germain Street. All right, that was actually a thriving business district. And the city went in and they cleared out all of the parking. And there were multiple businesses that didn't have any parking behind their store. Everybody was focused around the ACE as far as being able to use the parking. The bar across the street, Boudreaux's, who's still in business, and they're apparently doing pretty good, but they're not a big bar. They actually had to buy the building next door in order to keep their parking that they had because the alley's so bad. When you go across where the gas station was supposed to go in, and we've been hearing that there's going to be economic development going in there for a while. There was the hospital Centricare, was supposed to do something for a while. The gas station was supposed to go in. They tore out the other one. But we lost a bakery that was a business that's been there for, and I forget if it's 40 or 60 years.
60,
right. And it's crazy. And when they took out the parking, he actually tried so hard to stay that he completely shifted his business model in order to stay in St. Cloud. And Sauk Rapids went, wow, that's a great business. And they came in and they courted him and they won him over. And I look at that and I go, we could have worked with him. We could have figured that out. We could have went and talked to him and said, okay, hey, we turned this into a 4-lane, and if you go sit in any of those businesses or talk to anybody, you'll see there's no need for a 4-lane there. And I can't imagine that they're ever going to take it all the way up to the mall. We're talking about big businesses closing, and that was the original plan. So there was no reason to do that. And also there are opportunities for us to do other projects and bring in new business. And any development any action creates more action around it. So if we got a couple things going in that area and going quickly rather than, well, we've got this big plan, there are things that could be done that would start that growth even on a smaller, more local level. And there are business people that have been trying to work with the city that have not received positive responses.
Steve, I will say that it seems like if we hear about development, it's usually it's across on the other side of the river. It's not on this side of the river.
Jim, I think what you have to start with is you have to be an advocate for the east side. And that's what I've tried to do. I went around initially when I was appointed to this position and then 2 years later elected. But I went around and talked to a number of the businesses and visited all of the restaurants and talk to people there. And you start with that, and it's a little bit like turning a big ocean cruiser in the ocean. It takes a while to get those things done. Yeah, it is unfortunate that the bakery is leaving there, but I can tell you I was intimately involved in discussions relating to that, and there was many options given to the owner of that in the St. Cloud area that our planning department worked very closely with that. But it turned out that he received some incentives from Sauk Rapids and chose to go there. And we were extremely sorry to see that happen. But there's going to be some economic development, and it is a little bit like dominoes. A couple of them that if a couple of things go in there, you're going to see more and more development.
As soon as next
year,
calendar time?
I think that within a year we'll see, some activity going on over there.
Okay. All right, we have to take a quick break for some news and weather, and we're going to continue our candidate forum with the two candidates running for St. Cloud City Council in Ward 2. Liz Baklaich and Steve Laraway are here. We'll hear more from them coming up in the next half hour here on WJOA.